Yeah, ready to rock.
Sweet, right on. Let's do it. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Really excited to have Craig Russo of Polyient Games joining us to tell us a little bit about what they're working on. Really want to thank the Polyient Games community, the Chainlink community, and the greater blockchain community for joining us today. The goal of this Q&A is to allow the community to learn more about the integration between Polyient Games, all the exciting stuff that they're working on, explore what makes this integration unique and beneficial to both teams and their product. Polyient Games itself is an NFT-focused investment firm and startup ecosystem. And they're launching the Polyient Games Founders Key very, very soon. So we'll be talking about that a little bit today and the different NFT rewards that they're using to leveraging with Chainlink VRF to take care of that. So again, hey, Craig, really excited to have you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Keenan. Looking forward to this.
Cool. Maybe do you want to just introduce yourself, introduce Polyient Games and who you are, what you're working on?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Craig Russo. I'm leading the development of Polyient Games, as I briefly mentioned. Polyient Games is a part of the Polyient umbrella. We also have Polyient Labs, which is a 3 to 6 month long startup incubator, really focused agnostically on the blockchain space. Kind of the pre-seed seed stage. And through all that work that we've done over the last years, we really saw an opportunity in the NFT space as an emerging digital asset class to really help invest in and build out the underlying infrastructure that can really bring it on to the scale that we're seeing the traditional cryptocurrency, and utility token market is today. And so we have our direct investment and token investment arm, but what will be the crux of the focus today is our ecosystem side. And so the Polyient Games ecosystem is a third-party driven ecosystem where we're bringing together leaders in the technical space like Chainlink, as well as leading blockchain games and decentralized finance applications to really advance the adoption and use cases of the NFT asset class as it relates as an in-game item, as a collectible item, as well as a standalone asset that can be used in decentralized finance, which is going to be a really exciting concept moving forward here. And so on top of the Polyient Games ecosystem will be our Polyient Games token economy, which first and foremost features the Polyient Games Founders Key, which goes on sale tomorrow. You can go to polyient.games to learn more. But essentially, this Founders Key will provide lifetime membership and rewards to holders as it relates to everything from early access to products that we put out, products that our portfolio puts out. Our ecosystem is going to be a really awesome testing ground for startups that we support, as well as a rewards engine for everything from NFT airdrops to yield-bearing rewards as it relates to fungible tokens from our partners and other tokens that we put out. So you can think of PGFKs as a vault in of themselves that's going to give lifetime rewards to holders. So there will only be 20,000 of them, so very scarce, and it all starts tomorrow. So it's going to be very exciting.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I know that NFTs right now, a lot of people are thinking, maybe this could be like the next DeFi.
Right.
So really, really exciting times. So the Polyient Games, you kind of talked about Polyient Labs. Do you want to talk about some of the games that are within your ecosystem and what founders benefit from
right.
joining that?
Right. So our ecosystem is not yet live. This is going to be a really Q4 launch with a lot of the underlying functionalities that we have planned. But we do have a number of early adopter partner games that will be able to benefit from our ecosystem. Names like Axie Infinity, the Sandbox, both groups who are doing really well on their own. We're excited to work with, among others. And so essentially what we aim to offer is twofold. One is the ability to aggregate or leverage an aggregated user base, because right now in the blockchain gaming and dApp space altogether, it's very fragmented, especially as it relates to the high gas fees and just the nuanced difficulty of participating in these on-chain interactions. And so what we really hope to do is build out innovations and incentive structures that help to lower those barriers of entry, as well as a place for our partners to leverage our liquidity engine. We can get more into that later, but essentially a way in which some of these upstart games and some of these upstart apps can plug into a much larger ecosystem of tokens via our decentralized exchange to really kick into gear their own internal economies as it relates both to NFTs and adjacent fungible tokens, which are very important to work together for these upcoming applications. And so ultimately what we aim to do is to build our ecosystem as a user-driven experience that helps facilitate a lot of the common thread issues, solutions for the common thread issues that both DeFi applications and blockchain games experience.
Very exciting. Yeah. So you got almost this whole engine that you're
right.
running.
Right. Absolutely.
You guys get started. You personally, how did you get into blockchain gaming and just gaming in general?
Yeah. So I actually co-founded Sludge Feed, 2017 era launch media outlet, which is now called DeFi Republic. We were the first real major outlet to cover NFTs and blockchain gaming. So we had a very early access to the space there. And then prior to that, I was actually in biotech venture capital, where I was, on the pharmaceutical biotechnology, early stage investment side and early stage startup growth side. So this is kind of bridging my two experiences to really build out Polyient Games as an early facilitator of innovation for this new market.
Cool. Yeah. Really, really exciting. So if a game developer wants to join, what's the best way to approach yourself and Polyient?
Right. So we have, again, all these links will be available on our social media and in our Medium blogs. So we have a application process where we really are asking questions around, what are you looking to leverage in terms of user access, NFT sales support, and liquidity, which is becoming a very hot topic right now. And so what we're looking to do is facilitate teams growth that want to embed and leverage our token economy to kickstart theirs. And so this is a system that essentially can be repeated, whether it's from a blockchain game perspective or from a decentralized finance application perspective, but leveraging our established token economy and our liquidity pools via our upcoming DEX is really going to be a strong starting point for startups that have the cool innovations or the games built out, but are struggling to really, bring in that traditional cryptocurrency investor or user that can really help drive this thing to the next level. Because I think a lot of, especially in the blockchain gaming space, a lot of misconceptions around the coming mainstream user adoption. Whether it's Fortnite gamer, Call of Duty gamer as being the hallmark goal of producing products in the space, I think is very misguided. There's a lot of technical barriers associated with that and a lot of educational barriers. And so from the ground up, we've rethought that process to instead go after the mainstream cryptocurrency user who more often than not is a gamer himself, but really understands the technical aspects of these digital assets that can join these ecosystems and facilitate the liquidity and the growth that will then take the application itself to the next level. And so I think with that lens, we were really looking to support innovative teams, whether they're very early stage or established, to kickstart some of that embedment of our token economy and that user adoption from the traditional cryptocurrency users.
Amazing. Yeah. Really excited to see all this going off and
Yeah.
NFT games kind of coming to the forefront of everything.
Right.
So how does Polyient Games yourself use Chainlink VRF, and how is this helping enable everything that you're doing?
Right. Yeah. And so, you guys have been fantastic in our early stages here. So essentially the concept of the Polyient Games Founders Key, again, on sale tomorrow, it rewards users for the number that they hold. And so this idea of the more that you stack, the better the reward outcomes. And especially as that's related to chance-based rewards like random airdrops or ability to gain tickets to NFT sales and things like that. And really taking a step back and looking at that mechanism, just the random chance mechanism as it relates to your holdings, not having an on-chain proof of that is very difficult and can cause a lot of strife amongst users who maybe didn't win a ticket or a collectible or a drop for that round. And so really what we want to do is leverage Chainlink VRF to bring that on-chain probably fair numerical generation to essentially have this long list of proof that yes, that drop that you didn't receive was because it was truly random, not because we're selecting people. And I think this is a concept that bodes really well for generalized loot boxes as it relates to blockchain gaming, NFT sales, things like that, where bringing these systems on chain so people can track them and trust the systems is going to be integral to facilitating these gamified type like experiences. And so that's just, really kind of the kickstart of how we want to work with Chainlink VRF. And then obviously as it expands into our ecosystem, as well as our partner games, looking at unique ways to leveraging that functionality, as it relates to drops, as well as in-game experiences. So I think one of our goals is to bring PGFKs as an in-game item into our partners' games, which, as you have on-chain gaming becoming more viable with the rise of more scalable networks and on-chain experiences, that's going to open the door for unique experiences that are really leverage randomness for token economy output. So it's very early days with some of this blockchain gaming stuff, but we really hope to work with Chainlink to help facilitate some of these concepts early on.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And it's very interesting to always hear how random number generation is really needed, and people
it's such a simple concept that you don't think about, and it's trust is everything in these ecosystems and the economic models. And so the more trust that you can bring to the users, the better. Obviously trust is this and trust, but essentially by being able to prove the events as being truly random, it allows us to have a system where stacking more PGFKs is actually trusted. And so I think long term this is going to have very cool outcomes as we expand the use cases of PGFKs as it relates to liquidity mining, yield-based returns, and partner-based airdrops.
Very cool. Yeah. And so kind of expanding upon that, what value do you see within just decentralized oracles and Chainlink as well in general for the growth of blockchain gaming and
Right. And again, I think the way we're really framing these economies is that it's very DeFi-like. You have the game layer, and then you have the token economy layers on top of it, and more we're seeing DeFi-like experiences emerge on top of these game layers. And so I think one good example for how we would look to leverage on-chain price oracles is related to our decentralized exchange. And so having a trusted source of price data, whether it's Ethereum or whatever other token, we can leverage that information to build out unique swap models that really facilitate liquidity for the game application layer. And so this is going to be a lot of cool crosstalk between our PGFK asset as well as the fractional version of it. I won't get too in the weeds here on this, but essentially you can convert your PGFK 1 to 1,000 into an XPGP. And that will be our base pair for our DEX as well as our utility token for our ecosystem. And so we're going to have a lot of very cool like liquidity mining and yield opportunities with this unique dual state asset, as we're calling it. And so by being able to leverage price oracles with trusted data, we can really expand the ecosystem model in terms of what kind of DeFi like applications we can build out for our asset class. And so, this is very important to us because we want to pioneer these types of systems so that blockchain games and early game developers can look at it as an example for integrating these early on into their systems. Because again, the way isn't to try to get gamers right off the bat, it's to get the cryptocurrency user first as an experience. Because DeFi in itself is becoming like a game these days. Get those people in and build up your economy from there. Because right now, we already saw over the last 2-3 years, it's difficult to kickstart a blockchain game and get users on board. You need to think about this more strategically, and this is what we're hoping to enable.
That's awesome. Yeah, I kind of see that a lot within the community itself too. Kind of viewing these yield farming as almost
I mean,
this is live action.
It's a little more towards the gambling side with some of the like various fruits and vegetable stuff coming out. But that's really with our ecosystem. By having partners like yourself, Chainlink, we're able to develop really trusted and thought out game theory that will help bring in users and keep them here. Our goal is to avoid this vampire-like mechanisms that, each day someone's liquidity is being taken. We're building up feedback loops that really reward users for progressing through our ecosystems. That in of itself will be game-like, and we don't see that on other platforms right now. And so having all these types of things like Oracle's VRF functionalities, that all builds into the experience that we're looking to provide that will give this ecosystem longevity, which obviously has long tail effects, not only for the NFT market, but for Polyient Games and our end goals from an investment perspective.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I definitely see, maybe some that are ahead of the curve were kind of, viewing it as a game, but then the NFT is kind of throwing it in, and there's some other things that are doing this, kind of help make sense for everyone else. And I think it's just going to absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And you're already starting to see, you see tweets every once in a while. It's like, wait, NFTs, DeFi, maybe? It's like, yes, it is. Yes. If you're thinking about NFTs, you're on the cusp of NFTs. This is what's coming next. We've been doing this for the last 8 months, building everything behind the scenes. This is the next iteration of alternative digital assets that, no more, utility tokens were a huge promise in 2017. Unfortunately, they didn't have much utility. With NFTs, the utility is often integrated into the data itself. And so the NFTs have a purpose, whether it's from a collective's perspective or integration in a game, or as the alternative digital asset for DeFi. Obviously there's always examples against that, but really at the core, NFTs have been, and builders within the NFT space have been really focused on utility from the ground up. And, we've seen that from day one, and that's what I think is really going to take this asset class to the next level from a DeFi perspective.
Yeah. And so you kind of talked about your DEX, and we were talking before, and it's getting originally built, and I think we'll drop the Cointelegraph and some of the media that you got. Congratulations on that from today. But you're working with Avalanche as well, to kind of make this crossover bridge of, NFTs, gaming, DeFi. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're working closely with the Avalanche team, where essentially we're going to be building out a AMM model on Avalanche that allows for scalable swap functionalities, DEX type like functionalities, as it relates both to fungible tokens, as I mentioned, these in-game currencies, our partner tokens, things like that, and XBGPs, as well as an NFT marketplace that really helps facilitate scalable marketplace NFT transactions, which right now on Ethereum, unfortunately, is very expensive depending on what liquidity pool is being mined what day. It's really no other market gets hurt more by high fees than the NFT market right now, which is very unfortunate, but it's the reality. And so what we're doing is we're really hoping to bring these experiences with Ethereum bridges, because again, all the capital right now is on Ethereum. And the thesis that new capital will come through different layer ones is very difficult to anticipate. And so what we are anticipating is, how do we support the transition of Ethereum-based capital onto other scalable networks, and facilitating that bridge back and forth, because at the end of the day, interoperability is going to be the future of the space. And so what we're going to be doing and releasing over the next few weeks is an Ethereum version of the DEX, essentially a fork of Uniswap, just to facilitate the liquidity engine following our PGFK sale, because each PGFK holder is going to receive one-to-one a Polyient Games governance token. So we'll be building out a DAO. This DAO will be responsible for elements of our protocol level decision-making. Again, our goal is to put the power into the hands of the user ultimately with our ecosystem. And so the first trading pair on our Ethereum-based DEX will be the governance token against Ethereum. And so that's just the first step. And then once Avalanche is live, we'll be integrating and transporting our technology and functionality over to Avalanche to facilitate scalable DEX like transactions. And so obviously, as we discussed before too, this all feeds back into price oracle data via Chainlink that help facilitate some of these types of products.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah. Within blockchain gaming itself, what challenges, obviously scaling, do you see to really help this kind of go to the next level? And what do you see kind of being built out in the whole network and ecosystem itself to kind of help facilitate and grow this?
Right. Yeah. And again, I think it really comes down to the lack of liquidity associated with the underlying NFT asset. It's fantastic from a collector's perspective, but from a reality of in-game item perspective, we're already seeing with the rise of gas fees right now, just a complete drop off of secondary market interaction. So if I go into a game and earn an NFT for winning something, it's very difficult for me to go turn around and sell that because someone's going to pay the same amount that it costs in gas fees alone to purchase it. So that system in and of itself, the play to earn concept, is very strong. It feeds well into game mechanics. But right now, the realities of network congestion is making it very difficult for these sustainable models to persist. And so I think as users look at NFTs or game developers look at NFTs, you can't consider them in as a siloed asset anymore. What you really need to be thinking about again is this adjacent fungible token that can help facilitate interactions on your app or in your ecosystem, whatever you're building, that function to offload some of the demand and requirements of the NFT itself from interaction, daily interactions. And so things like in-game currencies or systems of governance tokens, things like that really kind of again hammer home the idea that traditional cryptocurrency users can come into your game space, as well as providing an outlet for liquidity and access that otherwise would not be available given the NFTs, just the nature of NFTs as a standalone asset, as well as just the network realities right now. And so to kind of loop it all back together, that's really the concepts that we want to help drive home for our early partners and the startups that we are backing directly, and it's going to be core to our token economy and some of the features and functionalities we're building out with the ecosystem.
Very cool. Yeah, and so is there plans for like integrating with other NFT ecosystem products, or do they have to reach out to you to get involved? Something
right? Yeah. I mean,
like Meme and a few others.
Right. And we're like, first and foremost, we built this as an open ecosystem. We want to be very collaborative, especially the NFT market where there's so few of us. We kind of have to stick together to a certain degree. And so how we've structured it is that if you want to join us and join our ecosystem and leverage the perks, we're actually not going to inhibit you from doing anything else. I think there's a lot of ecosystems that force you to adopt a standard or force you to adopt a business practice. We want to engage with you. We want to engage with your users. We want to create these interoperable experiences. And so we're very open to considering applications. Again, the applications can be found on our site as well as on our Medium posts. But at the end of the day, we really want to, work with these leading innovators in the space to help augment their own ecosystems with liquidity. And so we're already seeing some cool things like the meme stuff you talked about, and groups like NFTFi with the DeFi lending versions of NFTs. All that kind of stuff is going to play into this next wave of adoption of the NFT asset class, and we want to be there to support the entrepreneurs that are doing it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Few more questions that I have. One, within like the NFT ecosystem, like, is there anything that you personally have seen that makes people very interested in, like, has this ecosystem take off compared to like other NFTs, or like what gives an NFT its different characteristics that people are intrigued about?
Right. And it really comes down to that collector's nature that most of us in the space have. It's the idea of owning something that is truly scarce, that isn't interchangeable with something else. And so obviously I can go and own Bitcoin, but the fact of owning Bitcoin is from a monetary level or from a political level, what have you. But the asset itself, that individual Bitcoin, it's not an experience in of itself. But if I go and buy an art piece from a fantastic digital artist that I love on Cargo or on one of the OpenSea, one of these groups, it's truly an experience, and you're already seeing it. It's this very collectors-like nature, and that's also extended into the games themselves. These early blockchain game adopters, they're really ravenous fans of the ecosystems that they participate in, and it's really produced these very it's almost counterintuitive to gaming, what you anticipate gaming experiences to be like. As you go on Call of Duty, you get chewed out by like a 10-year-old, but it's very collaborative and it's very supportive. And that, may not be the case forever, but just the nature of the NFT asset alone has unlocked this community of early adopters that, has really taken it to the next level. And I think once we can share these types of ideas with the larger cryptocurrency market, the value and the idea of owning a digital asset that in of itself is an experience or in and of itself is a rarity. That's something that we see every day in the real world, and I think that's really going to take off in the digital realm here. So yeah, I'm very bullish on the interaction of a collector with the utility nature of the NFT asset class. And it's just a matter of time and technical barriers, but we're super bullish on all of this.
Yeah, I think it's very intriguing. And my friend over the weekend, he's telling me about like baseball cards.
Right.
And
oh yeah.
Really, I was like, I see this now, especially even more with like NFTs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like we're not reinventing the wheel here from a psychology perspective. This has been around since the dawn of man. We're just bringing it online.
Yeah, exactly. I've had this question in the past before too, but do you ever envision a future with, as you're saying with like Call of Duty or like Fortnite or these games, do you ever see like these rewards becoming digitalized on a blockchain and being
right? And it's an interesting question, and I think anyone who's actually spoken with these mainstream publishers knows the truth. And the reality of the situation is that the development cycles of mainstream publishers are very cemented. It's a very rigorous internal process. Most of these companies are publicly traded, so they have a lot of considerations when they make any kind of technical leap. But it is something that most groups are looking at the very least. I would say Ubisoft is at the forefront of this. They have their own blockchain innovation core. So those guys are doing a lot of great work. But, anytime anyone says that this is coming to a mainstream game close to you, like in the next 5 years is off base. Again, it's going to be a very substantial process that is going to require substantial technical advancements as well as just user education. The good thing is that most of us didn't come up in an age of purchasing in-game items like we have in the Fortnites and things like that. Obviously, like MMOs and stuff there to a certain degree, but not as the mainstream culture as we see it today. So, the optimist in me says that this next generation of gamers will have a stronger core understanding of in-game assets. And once you can convince them that, hey, owning that in-game asset brings a whole nother layer of excitement and outcome for you, especially as esports takes off. That's where I think that sweet spot's going to occur. But just the technical components as well as the game development publisher dynamics right now, it's just not a reality. So
cool.
I think ultimately that's where blockchain gaming needs to have its own carve out its own space in the indie gaming market. The token economies that you can create, the experiences that you can create are so unique. Just go for it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where stop thinking about Fortnite users to adopt your game. Think about the Link fans who understand gaming that want to participate in the NFT market. Go after those people because they're going to understand token economies, and they're eventually going to play your game, and that's going to have a feedback loop in of itself.
Very cool. No, I'm really glad you brought that up because that's kind of what I was thinking as you're saying that. You got to carve your own part.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like the whole purpose of this industry is to make your own path, right? Whether it's through decentralized finance, or through unique ways of looking at traditional web 2.0 applications and bringing more decentralized layers to it. It's no different for gaming. You don't have the expectation that you're going to get all the gamers overnight, and with a pragmatic approach, that's step by step. That's where maybe 10 years down the road we can start talking about. Yeah, well, okay, my gun is linked to an NFT in Call of Duty, and I think it's just this realism. If I see a founder with it, that's much more attractive to me, in it from an investor's perspective.
Yeah. Since we're talking about games, what are some of your favorite games to play? What do you do on
Well, I tweeted this out the other day. I am a religious Axie Infinity player. The blockchain game. Back in the day I played the traditional games, but I don't do that much anymore. I saw outside of Civilization, I do that a lot just because it's I don't know, it's boring enough so that I can get through it. But yeah, I play Axie Infinity a lot. They have a mobile test flight version of it, so it's like very engaging experience. And what's very cool and a good example, and I'll always give these guys a shout out, I think they do fantastic work, is that when you're gaming and playing Axie Infinity, you actually earn what is called SLP token. And so going back to the idea of having an in-game currency and a fungible token that's associated with your NFT game. So these SLP tokens actually are the currency for breeding your Axies. So kind of like that CryptoKitty breeding mechanism. that's how you breed it, is via this token. And so an entire application layer, decentralized swap market has emerged for SLP token, which I can play, earn playing in my underwear in bed before night. You know what I mean? So that types of experiences, like blockchain game developers need to really own and look at these early examples like Axie Infinity as successful feedback loops, for designing your game mechanics and your game theory associated with your eternal economy.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. It's very exciting. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that maybe we missed that you want to let the audience know?
No, I mean, again, we're launching our sale tomorrow morning at 12 p.m. UTC, 8 a.m. Eastern. So this will be the final opportunity to pick up PGFKs. So you can do it just from our site at Polyient.games. You can connect your MetaMask, or you can connect a Magic Wallet, which you can use your email, whatever you prefer. And then, over the next few weeks here, we're going to have a pretty aggressive roadmap in terms of launching our Ethereum DEX, as well as some very cool early rewards. As I mentioned, our governance token will be dropped to PGFK holders. And then we have a special drop of one of our partner portfolio companies is leveraging PGFKs as its first distribution of its fungible token. So, it's going to be a very early example of what we were just talking about. So. I really appreciate taking the time here. This is anytime we can engage with the Link community. You guys are doing fantastic work, and again, your technology will be core to a lot of the missions that we have here. So appreciate it.
Yeah. No, it's been great working with you guys, and it's really exciting to see everything growing and coming to fruition. If people want to reach out to you and follow you, what's your Twitter, and then what's the best way to kind of join the Polyient Games community?
Yeah. So my personal Twitter is at ECNAR_official, spelled the normal way. So Craig Russo, you can also find me. There's a few of us on Twitter. And then if you want to follow Polyient Games, it's at Polyient Games, POLYIENT Games, spelled the normal way. And then if you want to follow our DEX, keep up with all that, it's at Polyient, spelled the same way, DEX. Not too complex, but so that's the best way to keep up with us. And then you'll find links to our Telegram, our Discord, and things like that through those socials. So we're active across all of them, and it's been great early community growth, and love to have more of your community as well here, because I think there's going to be a lot of cool overlaps long term here.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Craig, I really want to thank you again for coming. It's been a pleasure working with your team, and this has been a fun AMA.
Yeah, appreciate it. This has been fantastic, and looking forward to these next steps working together.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, take care.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining in. I'll make sure to drop all the links into this description. After the YouTube loads, the video should be up in about 30 minutes, 1 hour, and then we'll help share that out. If you have questions, again, join the Chainlink Discord, Telegram, the Polyient Games Discord, Telegram. I'll drop those links. Feel free to ask any questions there if we weren't able to get to them. We'll be doing a lot more content in the future. There's also a lot of workshops happening right now within the Chainlink Hackathon. So definitely stay on the YouTube, subscribe. You'll see when we go live from there. And really appreciate everyone's time. Really appreciate your time, Craig. And
yeah, thank you.
Excited to see where this goes.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks, Craig.